Welcome to everyone. It's such a beautiful reading, and it goes with Swamiji's talk last weekend about relying on God, praying to God, asking God to help you, praying to the Divine Mother, and I wanted to continue on that theme today on guidance and grace. I was thinking of a story of Master that it just came to my mind. Some of you must have heard it, that he used to go out and he had his teaching campaigns. So he crossed the country teaching across America, and these campaigns obviously cost quite a bit of money. And one day, Master was in San Francisco, and he was just walking down the street, and he had some lecture coming up at some point. It wasn't that day. And a man saw him and just came up to him and said, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" and so forth. And Master told him. And just at that moment, he said, "I want to help you with your work." I think another shaft of light came down. And the man wrote a check on the spot for $27,000 for Guruji's work. This is Divine Mother. And we have to realize from these stories that she hears our prayers, she knows our thoughts. Master said he knew the thoughts of all the disciples all the time, whatever they were thinking. He told Swamiji, "I know every thought that you think." And with that, they know what the situations are, they know our dilemmas, and they want to help us. And speaking of the thoughts, there was that cute story, you know, of the disciple who was on the bus. I think he was coming back from Encinitas. And I think they didn't really know who Yoganandaji was, really, so they would kind of test him. So he was hungry, and he wanted to get something to eat. So he stopped at the only place on the road which sold hamburgers. Now, we don't eat meat. Master told them not to, but he thought, he'll never know. So he eats a couple of hamburgers. And when he gets back to the Mount Washington where Yoganandaji is, I don't know, it was a day or maybe a day later, whatever, Master says, he talks to him, he says, "And by the way, when you're on the road late at night and there's nothing to eat but hamburgers, don't eat." So he knew what had happened. And some other very sweet stories like that, that one disciple, he would always in his heart be praying to Yoganandaji while Master was still in his body. One of the monks, "I love you, Guruji, I love you. I love you, Guruji." And one day Master was walking by him, and he looked at him and he says, "I love you too." It's such a relief when you realize that God and Guru, they know our thoughts, they're helping us, they're trying to guide us all the time. And similarly, Swamiji had been missing Master, and I think Master had been at one of the other centers, and he had just come back, and Swamiji said his heart was just longing for Master, had missed him. And Master, when he first saw him, he says, "I missed you too." We have to realize that we're not alone, that as we open ourselves up, that the Masters come. I'll tell you something really sweet that happened to me today. I was at the new center, just looking around, and wow, what can I say? That in itself is a great gift from Divine Mother. We're going to start the classes on the 28th, I'll say more about that later, of this month. So I was there just looking around, and I go there all the time because I just want to be in that vibration and see it. And so I was going in all the rooms, and then I went into, we're going to have one universal room with pictures of the great masters of various faiths and religions. So I was there, and I even got up on the dais just to test, you know, how the dais would be for the yoga teachers and everybody. And I was in the half moon pose. I was just testing it out, and And a man walked in, and he came over, and he said, so who are you, and what's going on here? And there was a big badminton tournament downstairs. There's lots of people, lots of noise, but he wandered in the room, and so I told him what was going on, and so I came down, and I started talking with him. And he said, so when are the classes going to start? I've been waiting for the classes. And he had my card. I left some cards there in case people had questions. And I said, well, they'll start in a couple of weeks. And you know, it's so interesting because I had been walking through there wondering, is this going to work? You know, because there are the badminton people playing badminton downstairs and all the noise. And I'm just inwardly praying, Master, is this where you want us to be? Is it going to be okay? And this man just starts answering all the questions. So he looks at me, and when I told him about the place, he said, it's going to be a great success. He doesn't know me, he doesn't know this, nothing. So then he said, now when are your classes going to be? What times? And I said, well, we're planning to just ask people and talk about it. He said, have it in the morning and have in the evening, early, before work and after work. Have some classes and people will come. And then he said, now what about the elderly? I mean, he went on down the line. I said, well, we'll have classes for them too. He said, if you have the classes for the seniors in the daytime, it'll be packed. I said, yeah, great. I mean, he's answering every question. Then he said, now what about the fees? I said, well, many of the classes will be free. He said, charge. I said, well, you know, some of the classes we don't have to charge. He said, some is fine, but charge. You should charge for your classes. I said, what about a yoga coupon? Coupon. I was just really amazed. And at the very end, I knew it was Master talking to me because the man said, now, mind you, he's never been here. He doesn't know us at all. He said to me, I'm going to come and bring my friends because this is going to be wonderful. Then he said, some people try to get you to go down into a basement to do yoga. You can't do yoga in a basement? I said, no. And I just looked up. I just know Master just was there to say, it's going to be all right. And so, you know, as much as we can just open ourselves and give ourselves, like, look at Swamiji. He says, everything he's done, he's not done anything. And what does he mean? That there's a power behind everything. Like Jai and I were, after the new center and the new house last week, I'll tell you about the house later too. We were in the back seat of the taxi, or maybe the driver. And Jai is very inward and calm, and I'm the one, hey, let's do it. So he looks at me at a certain point, after one miracle after another has happened around the center in Swamiji's house. And he looks at me and says, Dhyana, when you see things like this, you know there's somebody else behind it. And I said, yeah, you know, there's somebody else behind it. And you look at, you know, how Swamiji is, he's an example for us. He's trying to say, you do it that way too. And I was thinking with the Gita, it took him 1 month to write that. He was in a continuous flow with Master. He said Master wrote that book through him. And with Patanjali lessons, 3 weeks, Master wrote that through him. He's on self-realization lessons now, 1 lesson a day. Every day, he's writing a lesson. We can't keep up with the reading of the lessons he's writing every day. Who's writing? Divine Mothers. Here again, writing through him. And Swamiji said that behind Ananda's building and success was my inner attunement with Master and God's grace. Those are the 2 secret ingredients. And I recall when I began the Kriya Sangha in America many years back in 1990, 91. And, you know, I had just come from Italy, and so here I'm in America, and Italy was so much going on. And I at first thought, well, now my work, my seva is Kriya Sangha. And I thought, God, that's so little. I'm just going to have so much free time. That's like, wow. It's like so little compared to what I was doing. And so I got back to the village, and everybody tried to tell me what to do. Well, if you do it this way, you can do that. And then you do Kriya Sangha that way, and you can do this. And I just knew that wasn't the way. No one could tell me but Master. And I said, just let me tune in to what he wants to have happen. And I just prayed and kept asking for guidance, and then the guidance came. And it wasn't like a lightning flash or a thunder rolling, but it came, just kept coming, just kept coming. Now have some retreats, Kriyaban retreats. People need that. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, now get the booklets out. You have all this material on Kriya. Now, how about some tapes? And people would like to hear Swamiji's talks. I discovered some tapes in Swamiji's house that nobody had heard, except the people who had been there that day. It just unfolded. And this is the way of Master. He's guiding us through our unfolding, awakening consciousness. And anyway, that became a wonderful Sangha just because it was guided by the gurus. So how do we tune in? We tune in, we draw grace, we draw the attunement through, first thing is by doing. We can't just think somebody else is going to do it. You can't lean on Swamiji to do it. I know people who've asked, Swamiji has given them a job, and they ask him, what should I do? He says, you tell me. You have to think for yourself. Tune in for yourself. You tell me what you're going to do. And so I was on that thought. So with Swamiji, with the different things that we're asked to do, if we first just put out the energy, do them, the greater the will. Now, just this wonderful thought I had, the greater the will means willingness. I'm willing. Even if I'm not sure, I am willing. Greater the will, greater the flow of the energy. Now, think about that. The greater the flow of the energy leads to many things. It's not just the greater the inspiration, the greater the magnetism, it's the greater the clarity, the greater the joy, no, the greater the enthusiasm, the greater the friends, the greater the solutions, the greater the answers, it's just greater everything. If you're willing, even though you're not sure, if you take one step and then take the other, you find that things really start opening up. So the first thing is to do. And remember, the Master told one man to do a particular job. And what did he say? You're a master. How am I going to do that? You can do it. Master's words were, what do you think made me a master? By doing. So as we do, so we continue to act and ask. Was the next point I wanted to make. If we continue to go forward, but also we ask, is this the right thing? Are these the people? Is this where I should go? Is this what you want? Give me your thoughts. Let me do what you want. And I'll share with you about getting Swamiji's new house. The other day, Swamiji asked me, he says, now, Dhyana, that's sort of miraculous. What happened? How did this house come? I said, I'll tell you everything. Because really, it's another gift from God. When you think about it, that building, the center, had been vacant upstairs for 2 years. The house was vacant for 2 years. They were both standing there, waiting for Ananda and Swamiji, is my feeling. They were just in a holding pattern, vacant for 2 years. And so we had the possibility of several places. I looked at 3 before, and this is the thing. Every one I could have moved into, but I didn't think Swamiji could move into it. But every one, I kept asking, is this the house? That was my mantra. Is this the house? Master, is this the house? And here again, I didn't hear, no, yes. Never came like that. I didn't hear anything. But circumstances just happened to lead me to believe that it was yes or no. First house went. Then the second house, because I said, well, Swamiji can't get up the stairs, so we go to another place. He could walk right in. I said, wow, I mean, I loved that house. It pales compared to this house now, but I said, this is the perfect house. And so I talked to the owner. We went immediately, almost that night. Tushti and I, we had dinner with the lady. She was all enthusiastic. I like you people. Come over. Yes, take the house. Yes, yes, everything. Fed us dinner. A couple of days later, the broker calls and says, she does not want you in that house at all. I said, why? I called the lady and asked her. She says, I just don't want you people there. I couldn't believe it. We were at her house for 2 hours. We told her everything about Ananda, what we do. She said, oh, I like you people. My family's from California. They're in California. She went on and on and on. Come back, spend the night. Told Tushti, bring your husband. You know, went on and on. And we were just like, wow, this is a sure sign from God. And a couple of days later, the broker calls. He says, I don't know what happened. She absolutely does not want you in that house. And all I could do, it took me back for a minute, because I sat there and I thought, well, this is a sign. Master is trying to tell us something. I wasn't attached, but I did like the house. And if he doesn't want us in that house, I've been praying, is this the house? You know, so he's saying, no, that's not the house. So within an hour, the broker, same wonderful guy. If you need a broker, I can recommend somebody excellent. The broker said, forget it. I've got another house. I said, really? He says, come on. Within an hour, I'm at another house. I mean, this is how the doors just kept opening up. By then, I was absolutely sure that it was no longer the center house. It was no longer me and Ranjita's house, that it had to be a house for Swamiji, just Swamiji. So we go to the third house, and I've taken people to all the houses, you know. I said, this is our house, or yes, this is our house, yes. This is our house, yes, Dhyana. I mean, I'm always enthusiastic. This is the house, okay. So we're at the third house by then. I got people looking at that house, calling on the phone, this is our house. I'll send the pictures on the iPhone. So everybody's saying, that's a nice house. It had a basement. I liked that basement. It had a basement, and it was a beautiful house. But there was a business up top and motorcycles lining the driveway. Swamiji, which would not like. He'd like the house, but not that. So, but still, I was saying, well, this is the only house we have. So the guy was supposed to get in touch with us, the owner, and like 24 hours go by. And I'm just praying, is that the house? Is that the house? And I was sure. I mean, we were ready to take the check and sign up for that house, really. And I told Swamiji of the house, and then I just said the motorcycles. But, you know, I just sort of kept going. So then, this is what happened. I'll never forget it. The next morning was Saturday, 2 weeks ago. I went for a walk in the morning. I didn't even come back into the house. I saw a driver. I said, let's just go over to the center. I just like to see it. I always like to go there. So let's just go over. And it was about 8:30. And then when we got over in that neighborhood, the other house was there nearby. I said, well, let's go by that house and just take another look. So we go by the house. It's completely shut. Nobody's there. I said, well, it's shut. Let's just drive around. And then I said, drive slowly. You know, you get a feeling sometimes. I said, just drive slowly. And so we're just inching our way. And we're just near the gate to the community center. And I look, I see that sign on the house, to let. Now, I've been there. I had been there 50 times at least, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's a house 4 doors down from the community center, to let. Ashok, call Ashok. I just start calling him. I just couldn't believe it. I just start calling him. I mean, really, this was a flash of light. I said, that's the house. I hadn't even been in the house. I said, that's the house. I know it's the house. But I had said that 3 other times. So I I tried to keep calm. That's the house. That's the house. I know that's the house. So I call Daljit, I call Gaurav, I call everybody. That's the house. Sonia, come over. That's the house. And everybody says, yeah, right. So, so then, within like an hour or so, I went into the house. I walked in. It looked like Guru Kripa on the inside. I said, this is Swamiji's house. I couldn't believe it. The house had been vacant for 2 years, owned by Nepali royal family. I heard yesterday, owned by one of the kings of Nepal that owns property all over India. I was in the house, I walked around, I just said, I know this is the house. The next day, after all the things that we did Saturday, I said, get that house. Swamiji, the next morning, we're driving, he's going to go see the community center. We're driving down the street. This is the next morning, Sunday, and Swamiji says, we're just at the same place. He says, well, where's the house? I said, you want to see the house first or the center? The house. So I said, okay. So we go to the house. Swamiji walks in, he says, I love it. I just start applauding. Then he goes to the center, he says, this is beautiful too. So all Sunday we're calling about the house. Monday, Swamiji's shopping for furniture for the house. We've not given any money, we haven't signed anything. He said, that's our house. He's shopping for furniture. I said, this, and we'll get 5 of these. And, I'm just going, God, Master, please let that be our house. I'm just praying like everything. Swamiji has bought up the store, like, we got to have all these things in the house. I said, Swamiji, it's not our house yet. So, but at that afternoon, on Monday afternoon, the broker called and he said, Dhyana, it's yours. And I said, are you sure, Paka Hoga? And I said, are you sure? Can I tell Swamiji that this is our house? And he said, yes. Isn't that a miracle? So I told Swamiji, we had the house. By Wednesday night, they said, bring the check, whatever, and we were just like racing all those days, and bring these things and come and get the keys. And then turns out, just one thing, the lady couldn't come, the owner, that night, so he's changed it to Thursday morning. And I just kept telling him, you cannot fail, I've got to get in that house, because by then Swamiji's in, he's moved in. He said, when am I moving in? So I said, you've got to have it ready, you've got to. He says, okay, madam, okay. So we get there, and Jaya and I are there, and we sign everything, we have everything on Thursday morning. And they gave us the key. It was one of the happiest days. Did you see the picture of me and Jai at the house? And Swamiji was just elated. So it wasn't any time to lose, because within an hour, all the workers came. We had people lined up ready to help Swamiji get into that house. So the plumber, the painter, the internet guy, on and on, all the people, the carpet people, drapery guy, everybody's in that small house. And that was Thursday. The painter went through the night, the next day through the next night. Then we had 20 people in there cleaning the house on Saturday. Sunday we had the big program. Monday, I don't know how many people, but still getting the house ready. And Swamiji wanted to get in the morning, so we weren't quite ready. But Narayani, I talked to Narayani at a certain point. I said, please, go for tea. Go for shopping. Here's a list of things you can buy. And then she said, what about dinner? Go for dinner. So instead of 12 o'clock, it was going 12 o'clock, then it was going to be 4 o'clock, 4:30. And then instead of that, it was 9:15. Swamiji walks into the house. And now I'm going to tell you the most wonderful part for me, Nishkan Karma. I just absolutely loved it. Swamiji walks around the house and he looks at everything for about 5 minutes. After that, he went immediately to his computer, and that was that. The story was over. The story was over. It wasn't, oh, have everybody in. Let's look at the house together. Let's see what you've done. It was like he walked around and he said, oh, that looks nice. He started typing. I said, bye-bye, Swamiji. That was the end of the story. But How beautiful. That was Divine Mother, and that was just following her guidance. It looked like one place, next place, boom. There it is. So the moral of the story, keep asking, keep walking forward, keep following, and Master knows our thoughts, Divine Mother knows our thoughts. They know their needs, they want to help us, they're trying to help us. If we allow them to help us, then it becomes a beautiful life. And because of that little place, now Swamiji's talking about being here a long time, 6 months or so every year, and a good deal of time up in the NCR. So it was supposed to happen, and Master made it happen. Jai Guru. It's meditation.